I'm Tiana.
And I'm Kara.
And this is our very first episode of TKTV, where we're going to give you the scoop on all the upcoming shows that we can cram into our daily lives.
We decided to start this series to share our love of TV, of which we watch entirely too much. We love the rush of fall TV, with all the new shows premiering across the networks, but there's just so much of it that it's hard to know where to begin.
So that's where we come in. In our very first few episodes, we're going to scope out every pilot for all 11 new fall shows across the 5 major networks: ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and the CW, and give you our thoughts. Basically, we're going to sit through all this crap so you don't have to.
In this first episode, we will discuss our thoughts on each new show based on the promos, talk about the cast, and our thoughts and feelings about how this season will go. Most fall shows start the same week, colloquially dubbed Premiere Week, and this year that starts on Monday, September 20th. So without further ado, let's start with the first show of Premiere Week, The Big Leap. The Big Leap is a modern tale about second chances, chasing your dreams, and taking back what's yours. The show revolves around a group of diverse, down-on-their-luck characters attempting to change their lives by participating in a potentially life-ruining reality dance show that builds to a live production of Swan Lake. Inspired by a UK reality format, The Big Leap is an innovative show within a show that takes viewers on a journey of self-acceptance and empowerment at any age.
Okay, I can't get over the fact that Scott Foley is in this show. Number one, he was an assassin in Scandal.
To me, he'll always be the nerdy TA from Felicity, so it's equally surprising to see him as, I don't know, like a hotshot producer guy, because that's what he seems like he is here. He always seems to me very neurotic, so it is kind of funny seeing him in a role like this. But I think he's very charismatic, so I look forward to seeing him in another show, especially since his last show, Whiskey Cavalier, failed.
Well, I mean, I'm willing to tune in just because he's there. I'll give it a couple episodes and see how I'm feeling. I mean, it's one of the only 2 shows that Fox is premiering this season, so I'll give it a shot.
Right. Also, as elder millennials, I am looking forward to seeing Piper Perabo on screen dancing again. That should be fun.
That should be very interesting. I haven't seen her in anything in a long time.
Same. I hope that there's a reference to Coyote Ugly.
That would be cool.
So I do think I liked that there seemed to be a lot of feels in this. It's not like all comedy. It's definitely more of a drama, it looks like.
Yeah, and I do like, and even in the preview there, they sneak in a little bit of COVID there. Like, oh, I haven't been touched by a man in over a year. So I guess I can kind of
And the hand sanitizer bit.
Oh, gosh, the hand sanitizer. Yeah, definitely.
Let's just hope, though, that by the time the show airs, we're past having to mask up on screen, because I think that that's not something people who watch TV to escape are still wanting to see in
Agreed.
2021.
100% agreed.
So I think this one has a chance, but with so many emotional shows on television, I'm not sure this one will last more than half a season.
I think it's going to last the season, but I don't think it's going to get renewed.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
Our next show is NCIS Hawaii, which also starts Monday, September 20th. At 10 p.m. on CBS, of course. NCIS Hawaii is about the first female special agent in charge of NCIS Pearl Harbor, Jane Tennant, who has thrived and risen through the ranks by equal parts confidence and strategy in a system that has pushed back on her every step of the way. Together with her unwavering team of specialists, they balance duty to family and country while investigating high-stakes crimes involving military personnel, national security, and the mysteries of the sun-drenched island paradise itself.
Okay, so I've seen the other NCIS shows. This one doesn't feel as cheesy to me, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's hard to escape the cheesiness on CBS. Certainly, this show isn't out of place. It slots right in with everything else on CBS, all those crime procedurals. In fact, it will fit pretty well with what I like to call the CBS cinematic universe, which includes the original show, JAG, all 4 NCIS series, Hawaii Five-0, MacGyver, Magnum P.I., and the long-dead Scorpion, which all existed in the same universe.
Yeah, but I feel like CBS needs to get away from what they're used to, step out on a limb a little bit more. Why do they keep reinventing the wheel?
I would love it if they would step out and get away from this, but it works for them. It's their thing. It's what they're known for.
It's bread and butter at this point. Why screw up a good thing, I guess? I guess it's really going to come down to us not watching them anymore.
Which isn't going to happen. I bet you anything that the primary audience for this show is like our age and up.
Yeah. I'm guilty of it. I watched Criminal Minds until it died.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, suck you in.
So needless to say, I'm not exactly like waiting on pins and needles for this show, especially since the lead actress, Vanessa Lachey, or Vanessa Manillo is what she's going by, I guess, is, of course, Nick Lachey's wife, who, and I looked her up, doesn't seem to have a lot of acting experience, and now she has been chosen to lead not just her own CBS show, but the first NCIS with a female in the lead role. And I have to say I have my concerns. Not just because of that, but also because they seem to have cast her child as a lead actor on the show, and I just don't really see where a minor has any place on an NCIS show. So to me, it just seems like CBS couldn't help themselves and had to make being a mom a part of her identity.
Yeah, and that does bother me. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a mom, but there's also absolutely nothing wrong with not being a mom. But I can understand, maybe they did it so they could show that, you know, women can have successful careers and a family all at the same time. But I feel like that's a known fact, and they didn't have to go so far into proving it.
Well, I give it about 10 episodes before her kid gets kidnapped by terrorists and they have to save it.
Oh, yeah, that's always a thing. I give it
7 seasons.
Probably.
Yeah.
Knowing CBS's track record, yeah, this will probably get renewed.
Our next show is Ordinary Joe, which will air on NBC Mondays at 10, starting September 20th. Life is all about the choices you make, and sometimes what you do in a single moment can change everything. This new, heartfelt, life-affirming drama follows Joe Kimbrough, who faces one of these decisions at his college graduation. The 3 parallel stories that diverge from that night find Joe and the people around him with different careers, relationships, and family lives, showing the unexpected ways that things change and stay the same. But when it comes down to it, there is no right choice. No matter what happens, Joe's life is always messy, exciting, tough, unpredictable, and beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had that moment, you know, like, oh, what if I'd done this, or gone to college here, or... I get it, but do you really needed to rub it in my face, though?
So this show is about, it's like a split screen thing. I definitely got Sliding Doors vibe from it. And also, there was a TV show, I want to say it starred, like, Jason Isaacs or something, called Awake. And it was a show that I believe covered 2 different lives of a detective based on which of his family members died, I think. Like, in one reality, his wife died, and in one, his kid died. And I just could not help but get that impression from this. But really, the biggest impression I got from this show was that a bunch of executives sat around the table and went, what do people like watching? And they went, cop shows, check. Medical shows, check. Music shows, check. And then they went, let's make all 3.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of it that way. But I'm not looking forward to seeing this one. But for the sake of you guys, I'm going to do it. I'm going to suck it up and do it.
I'm a little more interested because I've seen James Wolk in some other things, and he plays Joe, of course. I think he can be very charismatic, so I am kind of excited to see what he does with this. He's definitely got that ordinary Joe kind of look. Natalie Martinez is also in it.
I like her.
And I really like her and everything, too. So I'm excited to see that. It looks like it could be a very feel-good show, but it also looks like it could be very frustrating.
Yeah, NBC has a habit of getting those fun, family feels shows, and then they cancel them on you. So, again, I'm not looking forward to it, because if I like it, they're going to cancel it. If I don't like it, they're going to cancel it. So
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah, it's NBC's a tough crowd there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this one's long-term viability, but it does look like an interesting experiment. The only question I'm curious to see, and I wonder if they'll introduce this in the premiere, is whether or not there is any sci-fi aspect to this. Like, does he know and is aware of the other timelines? Or are we just seeing 3 different stories?
I think we're seeing 3 different stories. And I have a habit of not being able to follow along when you keep jumping timelines like that, and I will give up quickly.
Well, don't worry about it, because they very helpfully color-coded all of the timelines. So there'll be like a sepia tone when he's in the music industry, and of course, when he's a cop, it's blue. So that's to help us ordinary Joes figure out what the heck is happening at any given moment.
Good point.
So our next show is FBI International, the second spinoff to come out of the original FBI, which started in 2018, just 3 seasons ago. This series is set to follow the elite operatives in the FBI's International Fly Team, which is headquartered in Budapest. They are charged with locating and neutralizing threats against Americans wherever they may be without using guns. And I feel like that's pretty much all you need to know about this show. Like, you know, without even reading anything about it, whether or not you're going to watch the 3rd FBI show.
Yes, 100%. Because you already know whether or not you're going to even watch anything on CBS this season. Because they're all the same.
Yeah.
Give us something different.
But you know what? It's Dick Wolf, so he pretty much has free reign to do whatever he wants on any network, because I don't know, I guess it works. So I am not familiar with anybody in this cast except Luke Kleintank, who was in The Man in the High Castle. And he could be good, but no matter how charismatic the actor, I feel like they just lose all of that. Like, it just gets sucked out of an airlock the moment they start to appear in a crime procedural, like an FBI show or a CSI or whatever. And, you know, that's probably going to happen here. It's definitely a very young cast, so I'm wondering if perhaps this show is more physically demanding than the other 2 FBI shows.
Maybe. But who cares?
We'll give it at least 1 episode.
1 episode, that's all I can give you.
Our next show is the other Fox drama to premiere this fall, starting Tuesday, September 21st at 9 p.m., and it's called Our Kind of People. Inspired by Lawrence Otis Graham's provocative, critically acclaimed book, Our Kind of People, Inside America's Black Upper Class, the series takes place in the aspirational world of Oak Bluffs on Martha's Vineyard, a historical stronghold where the rich and powerful black elite have come to play for over 50 years. Our Kind of People follows a strong-willed single mom as she sets out to reclaim her family's name and make an impact with her revolutionary hair care line that highlights the innate natural beauty of black women. But she soon discovers a dark secret about her own mother's past that will turn her world upside down and shake up this community forever. The show is a soapy, thrilling exploration of race and class in America and an unapologetic celebration of black resilience and achievement.
Okay, let me start off by saying this is a beautiful cast.
Oh, for sure.
They're gorgeous. We've got Morse Chestnut. We've got Nadine Ellis. Oh my, guys, like, this is an amazing cast.
Yeah, it definitely looks on brand for Fox, and it looks like kind of a spiritual successor for Empire and revenge a little bit. Like, the plot's giving me revenge vibes.
I got those same vibes. I mean, and don't get me wrong, we've also got the trainer of the assassin from Scandal in there. So I'm thinking there's going to be some sketchy stuff going on.
Yeah, I really, it's hard to gauge anything from this promo. It doesn't tell you anything. No. I think this is probably going to be that next show that makes you be like, what? Like, what the hell was that?
You're going to have to have some conversation with everybody at the office, because this is like, oh my god, did you watch that show last night? That's what this is going to be, and I'm very excited for it.
For its sake, I hope it picks up an audience very quickly and retains it to keep that going, because it all depends on whether it can grab people in the first few episodes, because if it can't, then it's really, I'm 50-50 on this, on whether it could last the whole season. I just never know these days.
True. The sketchiness kind of gives me some Shonda Rhimes vibes, actually. Right. So I'm hoping and praying that some of Shonda's audience comes to see this show, and it's going to last, and it'll take off.
For sure. I'm excited to check this one out.
Same.
Up next, we have the Wonder Years reboot, which will be on ABC Wednesdays at 8:30, starting September 22nd. A remake of the 80s series starring Fred Savage, The Wonder Years is set in the late 1960s and takes a nostalgic look at the Williamses, a black middle-class family in Montgomery, Alabama, through the point of view of imaginative 12-year-old Dean.
I mean, it's cute. It's not really my vibe, but I'm going to support it anyway.
This is 100% my vibe. Every year, they're like, this is the show that I'm actually most excited about. Out of all the 11 on our list, I'm actually really excited about this one. And I don't even know why. I mean, I don't have high hopes for it, like, getting a full season, because the shows I like never do. Especially, and comedies are so hard. Like, it's so hard to get picked up for a full season for comedies these days. And every year, I feel like I get my hopes up on one or two comedies, and they always get canceled. But I have high hopes for this one. It stars a couple newcomers as the kids, and then Don Cheadle, of course, plays the older version of the main character, narrating the show, just like gosh, who did narrate it in the original?
Oh, I have no idea.
I can't even remember. The pilot's also directed by Fred Savage, who starred in the original, of course, so that's kind of fun. I'm not familiar with the actress who plays the mother, but I did look her up, and she's a Broadway actress, so I'm hoping for a little bit of singing in this. But I'm, of course, very excited for Dule Hill playing the father, because as a lifelong Psych fan, I love seeing him in anything, pretty much.
Yeah, I wasn't really into Psych either, so... I mean, hopefully you didn't just jinx this show because you like it. But, I mean, I have high hopes. I mean, it's cutesy enough. Again, not my vibe, but fingers crossed it makes it.
Next up, we have Brea on NBC, which starts Tuesday, September 28th at 9 p.m. An epic adventure begins when a massive sinkhole opens in the middle of Los Angeles, pulling hundreds of people and buildings into its depths. Those who fell in find themselves in a mysterious and dangerous primeval land where they have no choice but to band together to survive. The show follows one family broken up by the events and trying to get back together.
Yeah, so I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. So I'm excited to tune in to see exactly what this is going to be all about. It's very cryptic in a way. I'm getting some King Kong vibes, but we'll see.
I myself am getting Land of the Lost vibes. Maybe like an updated Land of the Lost. Obviously, this show looks ridiculous, and that's kind of why I'm excited for it, because I eat that stuff up like crazy every year. There's always some ridiculous high concept sci-fi drama, and it never succeeds. Like, I almost feel like this is a fool me once situation, you know, but I've been fooled so many times at this point. I obviously haven't learned my lesson, and I am falling wholeheartedly into this, no matter how ridiculous it looks, because I just always hope something will survive. Like, something has to be the next Lost.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's why they keep trying. I mean, they keep putting out these sci-fi type shows in hopes that something sticks. You know, throw it against the wall. Hopefully it sticks.
Yeah,
and I
right.
think that's what this is. And I'm going to support it to help it stick. But, you know, I'm just one person.
There was that Terra Nova show where they went back to live with the dinosaurs. There was that Flash Forward show where everybody, like, blacked out for, like, a minute.
Yeah.
There was and I watched this one just last year. There was the show about the little, like, robot girl. Oh, God, what was that one called? Anyway, I'm gonna watch it. I am. And it even has some people I like in it. At least, I am a fan of Natalie Zia, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, who used to be on Justified back in the day. I'm a little disappointed that the male lead was apparently originally Michael Raymond James, but was replaced by Ewan Mackin, who was the former lead of a show called The Night Shift. I'm not familiar with him. I'm sure they'll all do just fine. I'm a little dismayed that the show is about, like, a fractured family, apparently. I watched the first 5 minutes online, and apparently it's a divorced family with teenage children, and they get separated and have to get back together, and I'm just hoping that this show doesn't fall into the same trap that all of these shows do, where the teenagers are brats and you don't want to root for them.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing, too. Guess we'll have to see.
I guess we'll find out. In case you haven't had enough of crime procedurals yet, CBS has one more to offer us this season with the reboot of the original CSI, this time titled CSI Vegas, which is going to be on Wednesdays at 10, starting October 6th. It's a reboot of the original series, which started in 2000, Crime Scene Investigation, which follows former characters Gil Grissom and Sarah Seidel as they solve crimes in Las Vegas using advanced scientific techniques. I mean, at this point, CSI zeitgeist has been with us for more than 2 decades now. I don't think anybody needs to explain what this show is about. We all know.
We know, and do we care? Is really the question.
I do kind of wonder, like, who was asking for this. I'm sure that there are literally dozens of fans out there who are so happy to see Grissom and Sarah together at last. I was a huge fan of the original CSI for many years, and people were like, they would go nuts over that ship, so to speak. And it's kind of cool to see that they stuck together all these years, but they were never my favorite part of the original.
No, I too was a big fan of the original, and they were the last 2 people on the show that I care about. But, I mean, you know, I'll tune in.
They're not the only ones. William Peterson and Georgia Fox aren't the only 2 original cast members coming back. Wallace Langham, who played lab tech David Hodges, and Paul Guilfoyle, who played Detective Jim Brass, who I hope is retired now. They'll also be reprising their roles, one in a regular role and one in a guest starring. But they didn't bring back my favorite character, Greg. So I'm a little disappointed because, I mean, what else is that actor doing these days that he couldn't come back? So I feel like they didn't ask him back.
Well, either that or they didn't have the budget. Because he was like, you know, the only way I'm doing this is if you give me this number. And they're like, we're good.
There is also no mention of the other 2 leads who replaced Gil Grissom when he left, played by Lawrence Fishburne and Ted Danson, respectively. Ted Danson was running the show when the show ended 6 or so years ago. So, but there's no mention of where his character is, and there's also no mention of former cast members or characters such as Catherine, who, to be fair, she was on All Rise, and they didn't know it was canceled yet. So, and it may still be picked up. So she was probably busy, and I believe the guy who played Nick left the show on bad terms, so he probably was never going to come back.
Yeah, which is fine.
I'm not sure why this show is considered new instead of a reboot. Maybe because they cast the rest of the younger people as new characters and they want to try to just reboot the whole thing, but I feel like this just would have worked better as a one-off movie.
Ooh, I probably would have enjoyed that more.
Yeah. It was apparently originally meant to premiere October 2020, on the 20th anniversary of the original show's premiere, but it was delayed 1 year by COVID restrictions, of course.
Yay, COVID. Ruining lives everywhere.
So I'll be excited to check this one out and get updates on these characters, I guess, but my heart's really not in it anymore.
No, my heart's not in on anything for CBS this season.
Up next we have, I think, CBS's only sitcom offering, Ghosts, which starts October 7th, Thursdays at 9 p.m. Samantha and Jay throw caution to the wind when they convert their recently inherited country estate into a bed and breakfast. Call it mislaid plans. Not only is the place falling apart, but it's also inhabited by spirits of previous residents, whom only Samantha can see and hear. Ghosts spins the funny, heartfelt story about a newfound dream that reveals connection and self-discovery aren't just for the living.
Okay, CBS, thank you. You may have redeemed yourself. It looks funny. I chuckled quite a bit during the trailer. I'm going to give it a solid chance. We'll see.
So this show is apparently a remake, an American remake of a British comedy, which of course always goes so well. I think it looks pretty corny. Honestly, I think this will be the first show canceled of the year.
It could very well be, because we all know people that are going to CBS, they're not looking for this type of show. They're looking for our, infamous procedural shows. So
I'm thinking more specifically, if a comedy is going to survive on CBS, it needs to have a laugh track. The only comedies that have lasted more than a couple of seasons on CBS, it seems like, are Chuck Lorre shows. And this is not that. There's no laugh track. It's very questionable.
Yeah, but I'll keep my fingers crossed for it, though, because, I need something more lighthearted like this.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it. We'll see.
The one thing it has going for it is it stars Rose McIver, who was, I believe, the lead on iZombie.
Oh,
which just recently ended.
That show, yeah.
So she seems pretty cool. I didn't actually watch that one, but it was very well liked.
First couple seasons, and I really liked it. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. So it looks very corny, but who knows? Maybe it'll be a smash hit.
Maybe.
Up next is Queens on ABC, starting October 19th on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Queens follows 4 women in their 40s who reunite for a chance to recapture their fame and regain the swagger they had in the 90s when they were legends in the hip-hop world. So this show stars Eve and Brandy, 2 popular 90s, I would call them 90s? Yeah, 90s musicians. And I'm kind of excited about that, although I don't think Eve has done a lot of acting. No. But at least we know Brandy has.
Brandy has done some acting. Eve may have been in something once before, but I'm drawing a blank on if that's the case. And I loved her as a rapper. She was one of my favorites back in the day. I was very sad when she decided to kind of retire and step away from fame, but I'm happy to see her here. Brandy, yeah, I like her too, but Eve, definitely I'm excited to see her. I'm going to give it a chance. I don't think it's going to last very long, but we'll see.
I almost feel like Brandy's known better for acting than singing at this point.
At this point, yes. At this point, yeah. Like, if we were to, rewind things, and this was early 2000s, I think you would have said, singing more so than acting. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks really fun. I'm definitely a little more excited about this one than some of the others. I do kind of love those, 90s girl group power groups or whatever.
Yeah.
And it looks like this is kind of an homage to that.
Yeah, and it's got some good comedy in there so far, just from the preview. So yeah, I give it 2 thumbs, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
I'll give this one a few episodes for sure.
Yeah.
Our last show on the list is also the only show to premiere on the CW this fall, which is a remake, of course. Of the 4400. Which was a show that aired in the early 2000s, I think.
I believe so.
On USA Network, primarily.
Mm-hmm.
That starts October 25th, Mondays at 9. It's a reboot of the 2004 science fiction series. 4400 is about a group of people who vanished without a trace throughout the last century, who all suddenly reappear in present day without having aged a single day and no memory of what happened to them. And if it's like the original show, I assume they have some strange powers to deal with as well.
Yeah, strange powers, like there's, it can read minds, see the future, heal super fast, all these fun things. Again, sci-fi, right up my alley, so I'm gonna tune in. On the CW, though?
Yeah. It's like, oh, cool, sci-fi? CW, you lost me a little bit. So it might be aimed at teens, which is not really it's not really our thing anymore. We're well past that.
Yeah, I'm an elder millennial.
But there might be some older jokes in there since it's people reappearing from all throughout time.
It could be. That would really be a miss if they don't have something like that.
I hope so. I hope this is a show that has appeal to an older crowd, but my fear is that because CW was the only one who picked it up, that we might be in tune for more teen drama.
Yeah, unless they're trying to cater to a different audience. They may be well aware of who they currently pull in, and maybe they're trying to get a wider audience. So, let's see.
I hope so, but the show's creator is known for a lot of other teen projects over the last 25 years. He's been involved in so many teen projects, so...
Well, there's always hope. So that's our show. Thanks for tuning in to the first episode of TKTV. We will see you soon once we had a chance to watch some of these shows, and we'll give you our opinion from there. All right, see you next time.